situated.
Feel free to move.
We're
all
cozy.
The shit.
Where's my water?
Oh, here you go.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm Nicole.
I'm Danielle.
And today we're just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're trying to figure out like the direction of the YouTube page. Obviously, if you guys have any things you would like to see or hear from either one of us, or any recommendations for books for the upcoming year, let us know in the comments below. So, I guess let's start off with what are you reading?
Oh, well, right now I am reading It Ends With Us.
Yes.
I did tell the people you wanted to bond over the ridiculousness.
That's
I did
not what
tell
I
the
heard.
people.
People were trying to act like so for those who don't know, we have a TikTok page, a Booktok, and I had mentioned, we had gone to the bookstore together.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we should do like vlogs. Like we should bring the camera out and do like day in our life vlogs.
Oh, we should.
Like once a weekend and like go to the bookstore and like chat and like just get footage. That's what we should do.
Especially since we're two people not in the house.
Yeah,
usually.
we're always outside.
Yeah.
We're always outside doing God knows what. So I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
We went to the bookstore together to film some content.
Volumes. Yeah.
Yes, volumes. Yes,
Yeah.
the bookstore volumes in Logan.
I think it was Wicker.
Wicker Park.
Yeah.
And I was gonna get Danielle a book. And I was gonna get her the Song of Achilles, but that was sold out. It's one of my favorite books. It's so good. I think you'd really like it. And then as we were walking around, Danielle had confessed that she's never read a Colleen Hoover book before. I am not a Colleen Hoover fan.
Right.
I think she's the white girl's Tyler Perry. She is.
Wow. I think you're right.
She is the white woman's Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts.
Yeah.
What's going on in her books? Where are you?
So I'm still the same place I was last night.
Okay.
I'm halfway.
Okay.
So she has just, since meeting her neurosurgeon Bay, run into her first love, I guess. What blew me, I'm just gonna go into it. What blew me about her description of that man, formerly, I guess he was 18, so young person, is when she was first meeting Ryle, she said, I confess, I lost my virginity to a homeless guy. Why would you say it like that? And there's just so many moments of headassery. I just can't.
Yeah.
First of all, how are you so into someone you've had 1.5 conversations with?
Colleen Hoover is a Republican. I refuse to believe she's anything but that.
Yeah.
But not only is she like, she's not like an empty-minded Republican. She's out with an agenda.
Yeah.
Because the books that she's writing, I don't want to ruin It Ends With Us for you because it goes to places you can't even imagine. The books that she has written are so problematic to me.
Yeah.
Like, for example, right, the homeless neighbor.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, you start a relationship with a homeless boy next door.
Yeah.
That's a little insane.
Yeah.
But why is he 18 and the girl's like 14?
15.
She's like 15, right? And he's 18. That's too big of a gap. That's too big of a gap. It's too big of a... There's no reason for him to have been 18. Then there's the whole like, oh, he escaped poverty by going to fight for the military and serving his country. And then after he was done with that, he then opened up like a 5-star restaurant in fucking Boston.
Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't happen.
Right.
Homeless people don't become rich, successful entrepreneurs all the time.
Right.
Maybe like a couple of them.
Right.
But in the reality, most of them kind of stay on the streets. You can't military your way out of poverty.
Yeah.
Because they come back here and they're back on the streets.
Yeah.
That's not real life.
Yeah.
Why is that a narrative that you're like? She has an agenda in her books. A woman falling for a neurosurgeon man who offers her nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I have multiple people. I don't know if you know this. My dad and my stepdad were in the military. Mm-hmm. My mom's dad was in the Navy. Mm-hmm. I have uncles and stuff who have done it. All like, for the most part, besides my white dad, from small towns, black, went into the military to do something and escape. And they do come out fucked. Yeah. Fucked. I have a great uncle who did Vietnam. Whoa. Everyone was like, he came back fucked up. Whoa. I might have to edit that part out. It is an agenda. I even pick up on that. But what also blew me about the homelessness piece is she inserts her own opinion about it from that 15-year-old's perspective, where it's like, you know what? Some people are homeless, but they're still hardworking. Some people, they're not just homeless because they're drug addicts, they don't want to work, or they're lazy. Like, the gag is people who have addiction. Nobody should be homeless.
Yes.
First of all. And second of all, who wants to work?
Yes.
I don't want to work.
Yes.
That's not,
yes.
no.
Yes.
No.
Yes. The gag is anyone can be fucking homeless.
Yes.
You could be good, you could be bad, you could be addicted, you could be not, like, you could be a single mom, you could be married. Like, anyone can be on the streets.
Yes.
It takes one horrific disaster to put you on the streets in this country.
Yeah. And that's really the critique. But, you know, people were like, oh, it's so relatable. Like, the abusive side, it's not, I don't think that was her intention. Her intention was to throw that piece in there to be inflammatory. You needed a plot point, and that's why that was thrown in. It wasn't, just throwing that in without societal critique is irresponsible.
I would agree. And then you make the whole thing feel goofy. And this should be a very serious issue that I'm reading about. And instead, why am I laughing while I'm reading it? Like, this is a goofy book. This should be a serious conversation.
Right. But also, he was not giving anything. If in my first encounter with someone, they say, I want to fuck you, I would say, get me the fuck out of here.
No, in my first encounter with someone, if they're throwing chairs across a rooftop, I'm like, yo, this man's gonna push me off the roof. Yes. I should get off of here. Yeah. I'm not engaging with the white man throwing chairs on a rooftop. Like,
and maybe that's it. I also, in their first conversation, how they're doing the whole naked truth thing, I said, I feel like there's a cultural barrier here. Because for the most part, I feel like people of color are not about to tell you their business.
Absolutely. Keep reading.
I am going to finish.
Yeah.
The Ellen thing, you know, last year, I feel like, because it was at your last apartment, you told me about this Ellen shit. And I said, no fucking way. And now that I'm reading it, what kind of weirdo 15-year-old this girl is, but I have no sympathy.
Dear
That's weird.
Ellen. That's some white girl shit.
Who was watching Ellen DeGeneres?
I was watching Ellen after school.
That's different. That's not like, oh, I come home, the 3 o'clock shit.
For sure.
You know, the Oprah or whatever the fuck is on. But like watching, like watching.
Right. No, like if I missed a day, I wasn't like,
gotta go back.
Yeah. Like if I missed a day, nothing was ruined about, like, but if it was on, like, oh, Ellen's on.
Right.
Let's see what.
She mentions that though. Like, I haven't missed an episode.
Why? Are you like a 40-year-old stay-at-home mom? Like, what are you doing?
No shade to them.
But, no shade, but like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Put on TRL, sis. TRL is on.
Right. And then I think I mentioned this before. I found out Colleen was a social worker. And for those that don't know, social workers are ops. Especially the white ones. I don't give a fuck. It's the truth. And that is kind of like all in there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this person's in the helping field. Actually, they might be making shit worse. I don't.
I would recommend one more book of hers afterwards, if you can push through. You
know what's fucking insane?
What?
Olivia said the same thing.
What?
She was like, I've read that. She's like, I feel like you should read Verity too.
That's what I want to recommend. It's Verity. It's so entertaining.
Yeah.
It truly is. Have you seen Acrimony?
Yeah.
It's giving Acrimony. Where like all of these sequence of events make no sense individually, but together, what a journey I went on.
Not a journey.
That's how I felt about Verity. Where like independently, these are the most batshit plot points I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Yeah.
But when it's all said and done, I'm like, wow, I was entertained.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts. But there are strong themes of like super conservative, like, I believe women should suffer if they do not make choices that align with like Christian beliefs. Like very strong themes of that throughout the entire book.
You know what's also kind of wild about It Ends With Us? She is so submissive to him to the point to where we know from the first few pages she wants a relationship and he doesn't, but they do a trial to see if it's what he wants. You know what's so crazy? There are people in real life who would do that. I feel like if he was giving, I could make sense of why you would choose that.
I would say in real life there are tons of women that would do that for a guy that was giving exactly what he was giving in that book. Because it's the potential of what he could be. It's a potential that he could be an amazing partner.
Right.
It's the potential of like marrying a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
Like so they sign into whatever he's giving them.
Yeah.
Because of the potential of what he might give her.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there was anything else stupid in that book. I'm sure there's more. I'll keep you posted.
I can't wait for you to finish it. It's a good one.
But it's like last thing.
Yeah.
The first smut scene.
I don't even remember it.
It wasn't giving.
Okay.
No head. No. Just.
That's when he comes to our house begging.
Yeah. Like the fourth time.
Okay.
And it's like she made note of the condom, which I guess.
They'd love to do that.
I guess, we all know it's there, but I don't want to read that.
Yeah.
It's not.
They love to do that. I googled what is the most highly rated, highly recommended book of 2023.
Okay.
And the book that came up was The Heaven and the Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. Mm-hmm. And it's a story about this, it's written by a black author, and it's a story about this like community in Pottstown, I think. It's in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And like maybe the early 1900s, I think, were fresh into Jim Crow, like, because some of the black people in it, like their parents were slaves. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like, recently freed, but like people now can have like jobs, but like maybe nothing that pays them super well. And it's this community that was once predominantly Jewish, and then black people moved in, and then it's like this balance between the black people and the Jewish people. And like, for the most part, it's like cool, but obviously like, race is race, and so there's some tension there. So far so good. Like this, every chapter, it's very subtle in the way that it like transitions into different characters, but like you learn about the lives of every single person that like goes in and out of this grocery store. But it primarily focuses on like the grocery store owner, and like the daughter who like was raised there from like the previous owner. So I like it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's, like, interesting. I think the characters are fun. I feel a lot of things. There's some, like, very subtle, like, magical realism in it a little bit, where, like, one of the guys who comes is, like, a very pious, like, Jewish man, and he, like, really believes in, like, the Torah. And, I don't know, like, it's a really interesting book. I wasn't expecting to end the year reading a book about Jewish people, considering what's going on with like the Palestinians, but I like it.
How do you feel about like time period pieces like that?
I love them.
Really?
I'm a huge historical fiction girl.
Okay.
I like them. I really think they're fun. But at the same time, I never go back and check to see what pieces were fabricated and what's not. So in my mind, I'm like, well, this is what it must be.
Yeah.
Like, do you not like them?
I like them. I just don't, like, when it's like that time period, I'm like, I could pass.
I see. There was a time period of my life, I would say, like, when I was like 25, 26, where I read a lot of historical fiction about black people in America. Like, a lot. And then after that, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And so this one I think is refreshing, because I don't really know a lot about like Jewish people and like how they came over here and like what was going on. So what should we talk about next? You want to talk about, I know this year we like mostly focus on like romance, right? Yes. And like we read a lot of like romantic like books. What do you think was like the greatest lesson that you learned from these books this year?
From the books?
Yeah. Whether that is like a personal lesson or like something to say about the state of like romance today. Like what did you think that you learned this year?
It really left me with a question. I can't tell if we are romanticizing real world fuckery or if we're saying what's in the books is the goal. I can't tell.
Wow.
I can't tell. Because I read it and I say, this sounds too much like my real life. With the fuckery, some of the fuckery, or, the early 20s fuckery of dating.
Yeah.
And then it's like, this is what I'm supposed...
I think it's a bit of both. I think in order for it to be the goal, you have to romanticize it a little bit. And I think you have to decide whether or not you want to play that game.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're right. Like, I think that, whether it's Colleen Hoover or some other Allie Hazelwood or Emily Henry, like what they present to us is the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And at least from like cisgendered, like straight men.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that all that is there for us?
That's what they're telling us. And that is sad. The shit is like, oh, he likes me, or he told me he wants me. But even in the wanting, it's like, how is this good for me? Or how does this align with what I want with him or from a partner? And it's usually nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I recently read this book. Lit with Lee recommended it on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
And she told me to read this book called Holiday Romance by Catherine Welch or something. And I was like, fuck you, bitch. Like, I'm not going to like this book. And I read it, and surprisingly, it most likely is like top 3 for like best romance books I read this year. And it's about these 2 people who live in Chicago, actually. And for 10 years, every single year, they meet on Christmas Day, or like maybe around like the 20th of December.
Yeah.
They meet at O'Hare because they both are Irish, and they fly to Dublin together, and they go off to their separate homes. And the first time they meet, this guy is the boyfriend of the girl's roommate. And so she knows that her roommate's going to break up with him.
Yeah.
And so she meets him at the airport, and she's like, oh, are you going home for Christmas? And he's like, yeah. And he's talking about like how much he loves the girl's roommate and blah, 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 blah. And the girl's like, oh shit, like she's cheating on you and she's going to fucking dump you. And then right when they get on the plane, he gets a phone call from the girl's roommate, and the main girl like takes the phone and hangs up the call. And then he's like, why'd you do that? And so he calls the girl back, and then she's like, I'm breaking up with you. He's like devastated the entire ride. It's like horrible. But through that, they form a friendship, and they always meet on the 20th of December every single year. And he's a big Christmas guy, and she's not. She's like, my family isn't into that. Like, I just go to Dublin to see my family, and that's it. He's like a huge Christmas dude. And on like the 10th trip, in the 10th year, like there's a huge storm in Chicago, and like the flight's delayed, and like he's like devastated. Like it's the one time of the year he gets to go home, and so she figures out a way, because she makes way more money than him, and so she figures out a way for them to go to Dublin through like this insane connection. Like they go to like Argentina, then they go to London, then they go to Paris, and then they go to Ireland, right? And at first I was like, girl, like this is not romantic. But the kind of person that he was just like, he really supplemented like her weak points. Like he was someone that was just such a good match for her. Like yes, she had the money, but that was really her only positive. Like she was kind of bitchy and kind of annoying and kind of like not a nice girl. And he just was like someone that kind of softened her like harsh edges. And like so throughout this entire journey, like she becomes less of a Grinch and more of like a Christmassy kind of person, that by the end of the book when they're together, like they kind of both seem like the perfect little pieces together. And it was such a beautiful story, because he's wanted this girl since the second flight, and so he's wanted her for like at least 9 or 8 years, and she just was like so oblivious to the fact that this guy like liked her. And I just thought the story was just so well written. I think it was like, I could see why she was with him. I could see why he was with her. I could see that they both gave each other something that helped make their lives really beautiful when they partnered together. And I thought that is a thing that's missing in books that I keep reading. Is like, it makes no sense why the girl should want the guy. But I think also, most importantly, there's no benefit that the girl is adding to the man's life. Like zero, besides just someone to fuck. And that's a theme I keep noticing in all these books, where I'm like, why would you 2 people get together?
Right. In the year 2023, when there are sex toys too, like,
why?
What do y'all need? But I think that speaks to what people kind of maybe want, which is to be wanted and to get chose, basically.
I guess so.
I think that is being romanticized as the end goal, and that, and getting some smut. I guess so. Like when I think of, you didn't read this book, but Twisted Games, which was a sequel to Twisted Love. Everyone on TikTok was like, Twisted Games, it's so good. And so I read it, and then I'm like, why the fuck would this girl want to be with this guy? It's a story about this girl who's like the princess of like
I don't know, Estonia.
That's a real place. It was something with an E.
But she's like this princess of like this like town somewhere or country somewhere. And then she's like next in line to the throne, but then her brother abdicates. Is that the word? Mm-hmm. Whatever. Because he wants to marry like a street person. Yeah. And so she now is queen, and she falls in love with her bodyguard, who offers her nothing but sex. And then she somehow spends the rest of the book changing the laws of the country in order for it to make it legal for her to marry a civilian. And I'm like, why would you do that for this guy who gave you nothing but sex? What? He spends the entire book derailing her life. Mm-mm. Like, he's like, I need sex now. I want, like, let's, like, he just, when she has to, like, you know, do the thing of, like, dating, you know, another royal person for the safety of the hierarchy, the monarchy, and, like, whatever, like, she has to do the thing. He's, like, sabotaging it intentionally. Mm. I'm like, what about this do you not understand that this is her job? Yeah. Like, like, what are you failing to comprehend here? Right. And that just, I couldn't see why making the choice of, like, derailing your entire life for this random bodyguard was just, like, why is that cute? Why, he's a fucking bum. Send him back to America. Why is he here? Why is he, like, I could not, like, why is he here? What is the love story?
What is the love story? Questions that need answers.
Like, I don't understand. You know? And we give a lot of shit to, like, the white girls, but, like, the books for black women haven't been that great this year either. Yeah. The love stories, at least.
Where are the editors?
Wait, what do you mean?
Where are there's a line, there's multiple rounds of approvals these books go through to get, like, majorly published. So there's people saying yes, yes, yes to every single fucking line. Yeah. Where are the editors?
I don't know.
Unless they just know this is what some people want. So let's make this money.
I don't think I read a single love story that centered a black woman that I actually enjoyed. They're always so chaotic. The men are not able to communicate. Like, 7 Days of June. I'll talk about it. There's this one scene where the guy, he tells the main character, it's been a while, I read it last year, but, like, the main character, they have plans to go to brunch. It's, like, the main character, her daughter, and him, they're going to brunch, and he cancels on brunch without telling her, because he has to go back to, like, North Carolina, I think, because one of his former students had passed away. And so the woman and, like, her daughter are waiting at the brunch table for him, and he never appears. And this is, like, a source of tension between the two characters because she feels like he walked out of her life again. Yeah. And then eventually she takes him back. Who cares? But the thing that really blows my mind is, why did he not text her? Yeah. Hey, I'm so sorry. An emergency came up. I have to go back to North Carolina. One of my former students passed away. I have to be there. Yeah. Why would you want someone who cannot communicate in the most basic form that could ever exist in human history? Send me a text.
Why would you want someone who's not thinking of you in that way?
And I feel like that's something that, like, in my own dating life that I'm noticing is that, like, I am struggling to find someone who has, like, a very basic sense of, like, communication. Yeah. Like, so basic. Like, I'm not asking you to be this, like, super, very, like, some shit like that would actually happen to me. Where I'm waiting for someone to do something, they don't get back to me because something super important came up. And I'm like, then why didn't you just fucking tell me that? Right. You know? And so I felt like that was really annoying. And to your point, it's like, are these books just reflecting the current state of what it's like dating? Yeah. Or is this the goal? Because at the end of the day, those two got together. Yeah. But I'm like, why would you get together with someone who can't communicate with you at the most basic level? Right. And that's the thing that I'm struggling to figure out.
Yeah, because no dick is that good.
None. Yeah, like I'm looking for a really good, like, black love story, and I haven't found one this year that I can say that I, like, loved.
Right. Because then it's like, is part of it that, you know, bullshit does not bullshit, but, like, extra razzle dazzle drama does not sell? Like, they need some attention point of some kind in the book. Mm-hmm. And maybe the tension point, why does it have to be at the expense of the woman usually? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
But there are ways to tell stories. You know who kind of has this on lock? There was a time period a couple years ago where I read a lot of books written by Asian women, and they told really beautiful love stories that often ended in like absolute sorrow, like heartbreak. But at least I'm like, wow, that like touched me.
Right.
And I can't think of this book that I can see the cover in my head, but I can't remember the title of the book. I haven't had a story like that by any author yet this year, besides maybe The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I actually really like that one. But besides that, like, no, I feel like all the stories have been super flat.
Yeah.
And not anything that's like inspiring me to leave my house and go find romance.
Right.
You know? No.
Yeah. Even what? Before I let go.
Yeah.
I know it's very popular. It wasn't bad per se, but it was more annoying to me, the tension between the main male character and main female character being, there's an incident that happens, a very traumatic family thing. But a lot of the real issue is their communication styles. Like someone would say something and it would be like, oh, you think I don't look good? You know, it would be shit like that. And I'm like, nobody said that.
Yeah.
Or would be, I remember this one scene, the woman asked the guy something. He's like, oh, Mark's not doing it for you? The new guy she's seen. Why would you say that?
Right.
So it's stupid shit like that I was like, I can't.
But maybe that's because people are just stupid.
And people do communicate like
they
that.
do.
Yeah.
They do. Like the other day, I was talking to one of our mutual friends, one of our guy friends, and something had come up, and I forgot why we were talking about proposals, but he had mentioned the fact that one of our friends, had given someone an ultimatum, and that's why they're engaged, and they got married recently. And he's like, the engagement came through an ultimatum, and he's like, I just feel like I'm so sick of hearing about women giving ultimatums. And I'm like, why is it when women say what they want, it's suddenly like phrased or like as like an ultimatum?
Right.
Like, why is that?
Yeah.
Because every decision that you make is not an ultimatum.
Right.
But when it's something that like a woman wants, suddenly it's like this I'm giving you this crazy ultimatum.
Right.
You know, and it's like, why is it when women try to seek agency over their own lives, suddenly it's like this huge negative thing.
Right.
Right. So like he was trying to argue that the act of proposing is a man's choice. And I was saying that you think that women have no say as to when they get married. You don't think normal, healthy couples don't discuss it at first? Like you discuss the timing and you discuss like, okay, like maybe the actual day is a surprise. Right. But typically if you're like in a healthy relationship, you should know sometime in the second half of 2024 I'm getting engaged.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should not be a surprise to anyone. Like you could not understand or even begin to comprehend that a woman would communicate in a way to her partner that would lead to a discussion about marriage.
I think it's also not seeing the woman as an actual partner.
Yeah.
Right? Because in those conversations, people are saying, this is what I want. This is what you want. Do we align? How do we see ourselves making our future together? What is that going to look like? It's not just, hey, let's get married and hey, let's go, let's do this thing. Like, no.
Yeah.
If someone proposed to me without a conversation, it's immediate no.
Absolutely.
Immediate no. Because what the fuck do you think this is? We haven't talked about long-term plans. Where do we want to live? You know, do we want to have kids? All that shit is shit you have conversations about.
But people don't fucking speak to each other.
That's true.
And that's indicative in these fucking books that we keep reading.
Yeah.
Where to us, there's like no reason why these people, at least there's no conversation that I've seen that indicates why these two people should be together. And I feel like the only space that we see this consistently in is like fantasy books.
Yeah.
Because there's always like a greater thing that's happening that requires two people to communicate.
That's what I need.
And then we're like, okay, like they have to defeat the evil dragons or they have to defeat the vampires. And so these two people are communicating about this bigger problem. And then through that communication, we're like, okay, we can see why these two people work really well as a partnership.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for me to be like, okay, I can see why blank and blank should be together.
Right. And I think that's missing in a lot of the non-fantasy romance because I guess in an ideally healthily situation you have these external things in your respective lives that you have to come and talk about.
Right.
It's not dragons. It's, you know, a promotion or whatever the fuck.
Right.
You have to have these conversations.
Right.
And they're not. They're just sitting there arguing and fucking and
that's
whatever.
it. That's it. Like, that's it. Like, there's nothing happening. Like, there's nothing happening in these books that, like, there's nothing that these two people are mutually trying to solve. There's nothing happening in these two books or in these two people's lives that show us, the reader, why they should be together.
Right.
And maybe because regular people don't have shit going on. That's what it is. True? I think there's a lot of people who have nothing going on.
I think you're right.
People don't have hobbies. People just go to work and they come home. Yeah. Like, people have nothing really going on.
Right.
And so they read these books and they're like, wow, I see myself in this. And I read these books and I'm like, most people just go to work and they go home and they watch TV and that's it.
Watch Ellen.
They watch. Anything else in terms of like what you're looking forward to reading more of next year?
Next year? Oh man. I kind of like what you mentioned about needing that external something, stimulus, something to be a focal point of some kind that's not fantasy. I would like that. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of authors were in their magical realism bag this year too. Yeah. So if that keeps going, I'm for it. Yeah. I feel like I also want to read some shit I've never read before. I haven't had that in a while.
Yeah. I feel like the first time I read a book that I can remember, that really like shook. I was like, oh, I didn't know words could do that. Yeah. Was 100 Years of Solitude. Oh, yeah. I like read that, I don't know, like when I was like 24, like my mid-20s, and I was like, whoa. Yeah. I didn't know you could write a book like that.
You should try Of Love and Other Demons.
Really?
Same author, yeah.
Okay.
It's shorter though, so I do fucking remember.
Okay. Yeah, I think I need to read a book that like really just like, ooh, like you finish the book and you see like stars and you're like, wow. Yeah. I want to be like shooketh by a book.
Is there like a particular thing you're looking forward to next year though?
Like a book release is coming out?
Yeah, or like a theme you want to read more of?
Okay, so people are gonna hate this and whatever. It's a basic thing that I'm gonna say, but Sarah J. Maas, or Maas, or whatever her name is, she's dropping the second or third book of Crescent City. I don't know where she's at now. Mm-hmm. And I love her books. Okay. But I think I'm just open to like new things. Like, I might be a little exhausted from like fantasy overall. Mm-hmm. I don't think I can read anymore. Like, I'm living in a small town and I felt like I don't think I care much about those lives. I can't relate. I think they're boring. I think those people are uninspiring. Mm-hmm. Not living in a small town, but just like not doing anything that's cooler than going to work and coming home and having kids. Like, I just think there should be something more than that. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking for that like Black love story that really like, I want to be like, wow, like love is such a beautiful, revolutionary like feeling, and I want to read a book that makes me feel good about being Black and trying to find love. And then in terms of like the YouTube channel, I think we'll do like more vlogs possibly. Yeah. More like, we should increase the amount of times that we upload videos.
I don't really know any like upcoming releases, so I'll have to do some digging.
Yeah, more bookstores. I want to go to more bookstores, like not just in Chicago, like all over the world. What?
Mexico City.
Mexico City. So I'm going to Mexico City for my birthday.
Nicole, what if we make that a thing? I know we're supposed to be saving money. But we should go places.
I think we should go places and like vlog them and make TikTok videos. Like, I think we should really like show people how there's just more things to do. Like, books are so fun. That's our goal, to like create more and to read more and to do more like inspiring things. And also to find another big love story for the year. Yes. I think we both had like really fun love journeys for 2023. Yes. We both have like star players of the year. Yes. But they are now dead to us.
We should tell the people about how we started the year with a quota.
Say it.
Earlier this year, Nicole convinced, I'm just kidding, a group of us agreed to have a quota, which is we had our own numbers, go on X number of dates a month. And for the most part, we did that.
We did, yeah.
Until we got kind of booed up individually with people who aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
So I would say that part was successful.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that we both deleted the dating apps.
Yes.
But the quota, and we were trying to find men in real life. And I feel like yesterday, though, we went out and there was not a single man available. Not a single.
None.
Like zero. And now I'm like, okay, was that a realistic thing to do? Or do we have to have the apps in order to find love? Like, what do you think?
Well, I think most people in real life are on the apps.
Yeah.
So I think that is the path of least resistance in terms of meeting. Mm-hmm. It's just, along with the people who you might be interested in, there's also a lot of people who we definitely are not. Mm-hmm. So I think that it just is a big ass pool that makes it really hard versus going in person and saying, oh, he's cute.
Right.
Versus like 5 uglies versus like 200.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. I went on dates when we were doing the quota, I went on dates with guys that I would absolutely never have.
Same.
Never. I would never have moved beyond the exit of the bar with this person if I had met them in real life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I'm trying to avoid, because sitting on those dates can be so frustrating when you're just like, oh, I know this is going nowhere, but here I am. Yeah. Like, I think I'm out of the season where I need to practice to date. Like, I know what I like. Yeah. One of my friends, she's from Miami. She's in Miami right now. And she was saying how she's gone out a lot of the days because she's on vacation. And people approach her. Yeah. She's like, people approach her all the time. Like, she like hooked up with a guy. Like, she's having a blast. And she's like, in Chicago, it would be a rare day on earth to get someone's number. Unless you're like going to like a bar that's like catered to 22-year-olds. But one of our goals is to leave the city. So
goals, it's happening.
It's happening. We're getting out of Chicago this year. I think we are. I think for the time that we're here, let's have fun. Yeah. Let's capture what we can on camera and like have a blast. But I think we're trying to go to New York.
Yeah. And I love Chicago. I came back twice.
Chicago, no, like, this is no shade to Chicago.
I feel like there's something about the age we're in.
Yeah.
Where it's like, when we were a little bit younger. Mm-hmm. Left and right.
Easy. Easy, but I also think when we were a little bit younger, we weren't as particular as to what we wanted.
Oh, facts.
And so it's just easier to date people because I'm like, I'm 24, you're 24, who gives a fuck? Let's have fun. Right. You know, but none of those guys that I passed, like, I don't look at any of those guys and think, oh, that was the one. Like, no. They were all perfect for the time that I was in. Yeah. But now that I'm older, I still keep running into those types of guys. Yeah. You know, and it's like, no, why aren't you growing up too? Yay. So, more love, more fun, more content, and more books.
More books.
Cool. Well, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, my favorite holiday, baby.
New Year, new us. And we will see you guys in the new year. Bye.